it might not feel quite as special on Christmas morning, welcome to the future, as Raymond Baxter so memorably said.
Welcome to the future. Brian Baglow, Director of the Scottish Games Network.
Across Scotland, with the latest news, every kick of the ball, music and culture.
On digital radio,
BBC Sounds
and your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio Scotland.
Good morning, it's Radio Scotland Breakfast with Graham Stewart and Sarah McMullen this morning. There are calls for Europe's new digital border system to be suspended for the summer after long queues and disruption. We want to hear from you if you've been abroad already this year. Ryanair in the papers today naming and shaming some of the worst airports in Europe for queues. Let us know your experience and what it's been like. Let us know on 80295.
A public meeting is taking place in Glenrothes later to talk about the growing issue of illegal e-bikes and scooters.
And I'm Adam Binney with your sport. It's yet another summer of weird and wonderful football transfers, so we're going to tell you the story of a young Scottish coach who has swapped St Johnstone for Juventus.
Yes, all the weird and wonderful coming up. We want to hear from you. Keep the text coming in, 80295. First of all, let's get a summary of the latest BBC News from Jess Houghton.
The author of a major UK government-backed review aimed at boosting the workforce has told the BBC that tackling unemployment linked to long-term illness will unlock economic growth that's hiding in plain sight. The former John Lewis chairman, Sir Charlie Mayfield, who's leading the Get Britain Working Task Force, says economic inactivity as a result of sickness or disability costs the UK £212 billion a year. Here's our employment correspondent, Zoe Conway.
The UK economy is desperately in need of growth. Sir Charlie Mayfield argues that one way to stimulate it is to prevent people from dropping out of work. If there was a 1% improvement in the number of people in work, he argues, it would add the equivalent of Cardiff's population to the workforce. He says this is growth hiding in plain sight. Sir Charlie says that government will need to ensure that workplaces have access to affordable healthcare, especially small businesses. And employers should be rewarded for supporting staff to stay healthy. But he doesn't spell out how the cost of this should be met.
The former SNP minister Kate Forbes has claimed she was viewed as a slam dunk for the party leadership until she revealed her views on gay marriage. The ex-Deputy First Minister was narrowly defeated in a 2023 SNP contest by Humza Yousaf, having been criticised for beliefs she attributed to her Christian faith. Ms Forbes made the comments at the Alliance for Responsible Citizenship conference last week. The National Crime Agency says it's uncovered truly international online networks of men drugging and sexually abusing women. Officers say there are 14 separate investigations ongoing in the UK and overseas, and that British police have arrested at least 8 people. There are due to be funeral processions in Iran today to mark the beginning of several days of public mourning for its former supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, who was killed at the start of the war launched by the US and Israel in February. He'll be buried in his hometown of Mashhad next Thursday. And gannet numbers at 2 of the world's largest colonies may take nearly 20 years to recover from the severe 2022 bird flu outbreak. An RSPB study found Bashrock in Scotland and Grasholm in Wales suffered an unprecedented deadly blow, with adult gannet deaths quadrupling. The impact caused a 26% decline at Bashrock and a 38% drop at Grasholm.
In sport, if you're just waking up with us now and couldn't stay awake for those overnight World Cup matches, you missed a few crackers. European champions Spain in fine form, easing past Austria 3-0. Then, the game of the night, Portugal coming from behind to beat Croatia in the most dramatic of ways. Ronaldo equalising from the penalty spot, Gonçalo Ramos then scoring in the 94th minute. Croatia, controversially, then had an equaliser of their own, ruled out in the 13th minute of additional time after a microchip and the ball picked up the slightest of touches to rule the goal offside. Switzerland are also through to the last 16. They beat Algeria 2-0 to win their first World Cup knockout match in 88 years.
And Christopher's here to disappoint our weekend.
Yes, sorry about that. It's a cloudy and wet forecast for this weekend, Graham. However, next week will offer something a little bit better. More on that later. But today's weather, it is a fairly cloudy one across the board with some patchy light rain in the west of the country, with temperatures today reaching 17 to 19 Celsius. There will be some sunshine, the best of that across parts of Murray, Aberdeenshire and Angus, where we could see afternoon highs of 22 degrees. Not as windy as yesterday, but still a moderate southwesterly. To end the day, outbreaks of rain turning a little more persistent across parts of the west and southwest and moving north. Overnight tonight, I'll have a full weekend forecast and hints of something better on the way next week at 5:30.
On the Radio Scotland Breakfast travel news, fairly quiet on the road so far this morning. Roadworks have closed Craighall Road in Edinburgh. That's between Grandfield and Craighall Crescent. In Aberdeen, there are temporary lights on the A93 between Holborn Street and Nellfield Place. That's due to water main work. And in Fife at Dalkeith, there's a lane closed on New Mills Road between Woodburn Road and James Lean Avenue. That's due to roadworks.
You're listening to Radio Scotland Breakfast. Sarah McMullen, Graham Stewart, Adam Binney and Christopher Blanchett here with you until 9 o'clock this morning. Thanks so much for being with us. School holidays are open, and for many of us, the rush to the airport and to the sunshine begins.
This is not, a problem here and there. It's throughout the European Union. This is a situation that is not bearable.
Well, maybe not the most welcome news. That's Aletta von Massenbach, the boss of Berlin Airport. And if you're heading there, or really anywhere else in Europe, you might want to set off a bit earlier than you were going to. That is because of new checks introduced in April called the Digital Border Scheme. It was supposed to replace manual checks with a streamlined digital system, but so far it's not going very well. Concerns are growing about possible passport control delays caused by the new EU entry-exit system, with bodies representing airlines and airports calling on the European Commission to suspend the digital border scheme for the summer. But does that look likely? We'll speak to someone who knows all there is to know about the industry very soon.
Yeah, headache for loads of us setting off on our holidays this summer, but it's not the only menace in the skies.
I love gulls. I love them to bits. I think they're really intelligent. The behaviour is really interesting to watch.
That's Patrick Safford, Scotland's first gull ranger, who started working in the borders. He's a bit like a seagull liaison officer trying to improve their reputation. Who knew that seagulls required reputation management? But can their reputation be salvaged? Our reporter Cameron Buttle has been along to find out.
Yeah, good story in sport today as well this morning. So Italian giant Juventus have actually signed someone from St Johnstone. It's not a player though. It's a youth coach, Jake Sturgis. He's 24 years of age. He's been snapped up by the Serie A side to help coach and identify talent for them in the Middle East. He'll be joining us live on Radio Scotland Breakfast to tell us all about his new role with the old lady. I'm seeing some funny faces. I'm sorry, I should say Juventus's nickname is the old lady.
Of course.
I should point that out. This is not a football show. Sorry, everyone.
And there is another heatwave on the way, but it's down south. Here, the outlook is cloudy and damp, but pressure is set to build next week, and that should mark a return to something a little more summery from Wednesday onwards.
And if you have had any problems at the airport jetting off on your holidays, please let us know your experience. 80295 is the number. Let's get a bit more on that now, shall we? As thousands